Welcome back to Johnny Reads. Today I'm going to be talking about my fourth read of the year, and it's also my fourth book for my 2017 reading challenge, and it is also one of Amazon's books everyone should read. And the book I'm going to be talking about is Beloved by Toni Morrison. Really just talks about, I would say, the African American experience during those years, which, if you know any bit of history, you know that it was very, very bad. So that's a little bit about the book. You follow a woman, and you learn about her family, and you learn about who she's interacted with, and some of those things. And you also learn about a little bit about the geography, as in how different it was in the North and the South. I want to tell you now what I didn't like, because as always, I start with the negative. The book was not written in chronological order. It kind of bounces around, and it changes perspective from character to character. So in that sense, it was a little difficult to follow, because you'd be reading a chapter from one perspective, and then it bounces to like 20 years earlier to the perspective of another character. The other thing that I actually didn't like is the character who is called Beloved in the book. Now, the thing is that when the main character, Seti, when she escaped with her family from slavery, she did so obviously illegally. And the thing is that her owners eventually caught up with her. And rather than send her children into the life of slavery by being captured and taken back, she actually killed her baby. At her service, the priest or preacher or whatever you call him, he said, "Dearly beloved." And so in her mind, she always thought of her daughter as beloved. And the thing is that later on in the story, like 18 years later, whatever it is, another character comes, and she says her name is Beloved, and she just pretty much shows up out of nowhere, and she starts acting really, really badly and hastily, I guess, toward Seti, the main character. For me, while I was reading, and I assume you're going to get a wide range of perspectives here, but me, when I was reading, even though Beloved, in her conversations with Denver and in her conversations with Seti, she kept saying that Seti's hers and it's blah blah blah. So she was making it out like she was the daughter who was killed. But for me personally, when I was reading, I thought of her as an imposter, as someone who knew the story and was coming in to cause a ruckus. That's what I was reading from. It turns out I was completely wrong. Beloved is actually a ghost. Now, you don't learn that definitively until the very, very end, when like 30 women from the community come and try to do away with her because they think that it's just wrong what's going on, and she disappears. It's the main positive that I took away from this, and this actually, I would say, overrides all the negatives. Is that the idea that an American citizen, which I don't think at this time they would have been considered American citizens, but an American citizen would believe that it's better to murder your children. It would be in your mind that it's better to do that rather than live a life in slavery or force your children to live a life in slavery. It kind of sums up the entire period, I would say. Everybody knows American history is quite frankly, it's terrible. We talk about how we're the greatest country on earth. We talk about how exceptional the country is. We talk about how we are the last beacon of hope in the world. But whenever we talk about those things, we selectively forget that every institution that we have, education or anything, housing or voting, anything, was completely and utterly and definitively unfair and biased. I understand that America is not perfect. I understand that we have come a long way from where we once were. But this book, it's a little ironic, I would say, because this book takes place in the middle of the 19th century, like I said, but it is so completely relevant today, of the treatment of certain groups of people and how they are treated by not only individual citizens, but also by institutions. And so for me, that was the main takeaway from this. That I know this book wasn't written obviously during the middle of the 19th century. It's written by Toni Morrison, but it's one of those things where you're reading a book and it's set in a completely different period, or you're told it's a completely different period, and then you realize, is it that much different? That's all I have for you today. Let me know if you've read Beloved by Toni Morrison. See you had any differing thoughts. Maybe you like Beloved a little bit more than I did. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I do make new videos every Wednesday now. I'll see you next time.